Hello and welcome to another, lazy Monday, just hanging out and talking about geek stuff with Ginell. Uh,
Hello.
Janelle's with us, and she joined us 2 weeks ago, I believe, just to hang out and chat about 80s, 90s era X-Men with me, which a lot of you really enjoyed, and I did too, so that was really cool. And near the end of the show, we got onto the topic of Clive Barker. So we're going to pick up where we left off, and we're going to talk Clive Barker tonight. But
Oh,
before I
wow.
do, what?
Oh, no, I was like, oh, wow, this is awesome. Let me see if I can get my brain going on this.
We can ease into it.
Okay.
Before we do tear into this, though, first off, one, go down into the description and subscribe to Adventures That Awful on either Rumble or BitChute or both. We're trying to make Rumble our main platform because it's so damn easy to use. I'm sorry, BitChute is not user-friendly. It works, and it does what it does well, but it is a pain in the ass to work with. Videos sometimes take forever to load up. So yeah, if you go follow us on Rumble, that would be great. I've also got my Minds account down there that I want you all to follow me on. And finally, because we all know what's going on in social media and nobody's hearing anything anymore, please let everyone know this show is going right now. So just take a minute, go do that. And then we will get started. And by the way, those of you who checked out Kami Hunter or Kami Slayer Angel, I had quite a lot of fun making that.
What is
Anyway.
Comic Slayer Angel? Because I've kind of been off the social media grid.
Well, I have this other channel. I probably really shouldn't even admit that it's my channel considering the content. I call it video hacking. I make all these bizarre kind of parody videos or found media videos and piece things together. Sometimes they're fake news reports. Sometimes they're music videos or mini movies and or commercials. But it's always humorous, usually in the really offensive area. And considering the way things were going right now, I figured right now we needed something that, kind of just punched back at the commies. And there's an old anime from, I think, the late 80s, early 90s called Angel Cop. It was that era.
Oh my God, I love Angel Cop. Okay, I see where this is going. I have seen Angel Cop. That is a great anime. Okay, I see where this is going now.
Yeah, it is so over the top. You're right. And, I went in and I re-edited it as a trailer for an anime called Kami Slayer Angel. And I redid it that, first there was a plague, and then there was chaos, and then there came psychic, communist, transvestites.
Jesus. Oh, I have to go watch this after this show.
And then it goes into this trailer about, Angel, this like rogue cop that's going around hunting communists and psychic transvestites. And I edit in scenes from other animes, and Kat and I recorded some of our own dialogue over it.
Oh God!
I had like 3 clips at the very end after the trailer. You see clips of this supposed movie, and let's just say at one point it features a trans penis, but it isn't what you think.
Man, I can't wait to watch this. The fact that you used Angel Cop is like the icing on the cake, though, for real. Yeah. I mean, that is one of the most over the top animes I've ever seen, and in such a good way, too.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I just, watching it, I was like, I had forgotten just how hardcore anime used to be.
The late 80s up until the mid 90s had some of the most insanely violent anime. And of course, that's where I got introduced to anime. I mean, I saw Akira for the first time on Sci-Fi Network, and I was like, oh my God, this is anime. And, just went from there. Ninja Scroll, Cyber City, Wicked City, Demon City, Shinjuku.
Yeah,
I mean, yeah.
Exactly. And, I'm thinking if this takes off, if people really like this, I'll try and maybe do my own little abridged cuts of Angel Cop, but make it about, hunting psychic commie transvestites.
Oh, that would be beautiful.
Now, Cesario mentions, funny thing is, Angel Cop got a bowlerized dub because supposedly the original Japanese was heavily anti-Semitic. I looked into that, Caesar, because when I was doing research for Cyberpunk Source Code, the website, that came up for the entry on Angel Cop, and I looked into it. And, I've got to be honest with you. What was in there, what little there was that you could call anti-Semitic, was so minor. I mean, it's like, look, how sensitive are you to this stuff? I mean, throughout the whole thing, I mean, it's bloody, it's gory. It's, shut the fuck up, you commie scum. It's got deep nationalist, Japanese nationalism is an overall theme through the whole thing. People that have betrayed the country for money are being executed right and left brutally. There are women getting the shit kicked out of them, kids getting blown up, right?
Yeah.
And to top that off, there's a lot of slams on Americans in it, specifically our arms industry. So throughout it, they kept all the slams on Americans, but the one comment about Jewish bankers, that needed to be cut. Suddenly, it's heavily anti-Semitic for one line about Jewish bankers. I mean, give me a fucking break.
I thought that one of the main bad guys was the American military-industrial complex, because that's who the Japanese officials were selling out to, if I remember correctly. Yeah,
the big bad guys were the industrial complex, military-industrial complex, and there's this mention at the very end, that they're funded by the Jewish bankers. That's the anti-Semitic comment that apparently the ADL threw a shit fit over.
Oh,
it's like,
God.
grow a thicker skin, pussy. Seriously.
I mean, I am so tired of that.
Yeah, it's like, get over it. The 40s was a win. I mean, you can't even claim that it was white people doing it in this one because they're all Japanese people.
Exactly. Exactly.
But no, it's just, I find that when I found out how minor the comment was, I just thought it was thoroughly ridiculous. It's kind of like there's more of a case for being mad about Mr. Popo than there is Angel Cop. And even then, that's just a cultural misunderstanding. Do you know who Mr. Popo is?
I have not heard of Mr. Popo.
In Dragon Ball Z, there is a character.
Wait, is that the clown character? The clown looking, like the little China doll looking guy?
Oh, no.
Okay.
Although that character is pretty funny, too. Mr. Popo, Katme originally thought he was a djinn, but he has a turban. He is completely black. He has huge red lips and big eyes.
I know who you're talking about now. Okay. I haven't is he in Dragon Ball or Dragon Ball Z? Because I've only seen
Dragon Ball Z.
Okay, I've only seen Dragon Ball.
Okay.
But I know who you're talking about. I've seen the images.
And it's actually a misunderstanding. I found out later that what it is Dragon Ball Z is full of Asian myth. Actually, it's a parody of a lot of Asian myth, interestingly enough. And it's taking all these, very sacredly held folktales and just kind of making a farce out of them. And then adding in a lot of Superman elements for no reason. But the one character, Popo, is apparently the spirit of the I forget, it was a monk or somebody whose entire body was frostbitten, and if you see skin that is frostbitten, it turns pure black. I
see. So they just made him look like a frostbitten ghost, and everybody lost their shit.
Yeah, it was just total misunderstanding. That was it. I mean, granted, there is plenty of racism towards black people in anime, but this wasn't one of them.
Now I need to watch. I've got a list to follow now. Dragon Ball Z is on it too. I've been trying to watch. Well, you know what? Cartoon Network destroyed that for me because they
made it really dopey.
Well, not only that, they cut out a bunch of stuff and instead they lengthened it by repeating scenes. So a fight scene wouldn't happen for like 5 episodes. It would just be this dumbass buildup. I was like, this is boring.
Actually, that wasn't Cartoon Network.
Oh, that wasn't?
No. I looked into that because I was like, what the hell is this? This is the longest 5 minutes I've ever heard,
Okay, okay, I'm not the only one then that felt that way, because I was like, I watched Dragon Ball and then Dragon Ball Z comes out. I'm like, what is this shit?
What it was, Frieza says, in 5 minutes, this planet will blow up. And then 5 episodes later, we're still waiting for that 5 minutes to pass. And what it was, I think it's Tornaga, the creator of it was the manga was being written at the same time, and the show had gotten ahead of him, and he had to catch up. So they were filling space till he actually got caught up with them.
Sucks.
Yeah, I actually can't get through unedited Dragon Ball. It just I kind of get bored. But Dragon Ball Abridged keeps the spirit of the show, but is hilarious. And I think it actually translates some of the jokes better. If you can find this, it's DBZ Abridged. And these guys have just gone through and done like supercuts, shorten the episodes down to like 5 and 10 minutes each, redub them, and they're all professional voice actors, and they make it hilarious.
Okay, I will check that one out too.
Toriyama, that's his name, yeah.
I know that right now Funimation has the licensing, and so they redubbed with all of their voice actors instead of the ones that were part of the Ocean dub. So plus I don't like Funimation anyway. But that's a whole nother story.
Yeah, well, we can do a talk about anime and how it's time to go back to pirating.
It's time to go back to pirating and fan dubs, I'm telling you.
Yeah. And it's awesome. People are doing it. That's the cool part, is people are doing it on their free time. They're just making their own dubs or subtitles, which is great.
Good to hear. Yeah. I mean, I don't know, you probably did this too, but I remember getting the VHS cassettes that, they had just been worn out and watched, and they were fan dubs, and you had
and they were circulated.
Yeah, but it was so cool.
Yeah, I actually saw Sailor Moon like 2 years before it hit the U.S.
Oh, and,
nice. We watched. This was a college club, and I was a high school student. But they would have a synopsis of what the episode's about. You'd read it and then play it, and it wasn't even translated.
Oh, whoa.
Yeah, and they also that's where I saw Ixer 1 as well before it got the U.S. release.
I never got to see Ixer 1, and I always wanted to. It looks so cool. Yes, sucks Funimation. I see that.
Yeah. Ixer 1, Del Toro borrowed heavily for Pacific Rim, but he didn't include the lesbian sex stuff.
That's a bummer. That's always very titillating in anime.
Brandon Henold said Ixer 1 was essentially accumulation of everything that represented anime in the 80s, all crammed into one show in 3 episodes.
Holy shit, that's a lot.
So I know that, we're already 13 minutes in, and all we've talked about is anime.
I could talk a ton about anime. I mean, oh my gosh. What's his name? The guy that did Devilman and Cutie Honey. What's his last name?
Nagai. He's great.
Thank you. I can talk about him all the time too. That could be another episode.
In my Kami Slayer Angel video, I use clips from Iron Virgin June.
I have not seen Iron Virgin June. I've seen Devilman, Devil Lady, Violence Jack, and parts of Cutie Honey.
Yeah, I like Cutie Honey quite a bit. Violence Jack I've yet to get through. I have it's one of those things I never got to. But Devilman, my God, that was some trippy shit.
Yes, it was.
Okay, so Clive Barker. As we left off, Clive Barker, we were talking about how we even saw some parallels about the 80s era X-Men and Cabal or Nightbreed, in that they really weren't superheroes at that point. They were kind of just fighting for survival, and they were outcasts.
Yes, Cabal with the Nightbreed, they had freakish powers, but they were like the Morlocks.
Yeah, actually they were.
Yeah, I mean they all had freakish powers, or if they didn't have freakish powers, they had freakish bodily mutations. And so, I mean, I don't know if Clive Barker ever read X-Men, or I
I'd be
don't know if
shocked
the
if he
book.
didn't.
But I mean, they live in an underground society. Just it's in a graveyard instead of the sewers. But I mean, they have their own like setup with the hierarchy and everything. Except I don't. The Morlocks didn't worship a ejaculating penis god. That would have been quite interesting. But
Yeah,
still,
okay. Yeah, for those who weren't caught up, what we had talked about was also the parallel with Cabal and X-Men. Okay, you know what? I think he might have been influenced by the Morlocks. The Morlocks were introduced in 1983. Cabal was published in 88.
oh,
I think there might be a connection there. And
I
he's
will
a
agree
comics
with you.
fan. But what we were talking about is that often the X-Men, that the claim that they were a metaphor for the civil rights movement is bullshit. And it really was just marketing on Stan Lee's part. And originally it was just a ripoff of, it was Doom Patrol. And that then it was Claremont who really did make them outcasts, really. And that for him, again, the idea of the it's a metaphor for the civil rights movement or minorities, or then they added the whole thing. Well, no, it's about gays, and really, we were both saying, no, I think it's about people who are deviant or just on the outside, and that we started talking about how that is exactly what Cabal was a metaphor for.
Yes.
Was that it's a metaphor for people who are kind of into the taboo, and they are monsters. They do kill people.
Yeah, I mean they were BDSM. They were what I would consider true punkers,
Oh
not
yeah,
just the I'm joining the fad of being a punker. No, like we're talking gutter punk.
yeah.
Like the true goth scene before that became all popular too. I mean, that was all underground.
Yeah, actually, I think a lot of people forget that the original goth had more of kind of a razor blade edge. It wasn't so pretty.
Yeah, it came from, if I remember correctly, I could be wrong. Goth spun off from post punk
Yeah,
because Susie and the Banshees, Susie Sue was one of the original goths, and she ran with the punk scene, and then the post punk scene, and the Susie and the Banshees were post punk.
right. And then kind of slid into goth.
Yeah,
And so was The Cure, was post punk, and then it kind of became goth. And we didn't even need
Sisters
to
of
get
Mercy.
into Sisters of Mercy is an interesting case. I mean,
Oh yeah, I've read all about them. I shouldn't say Sisters of Mercy. Pat, what's her name? She joined when he fired the entire band, and then
yeah,
he hired her, and she was goth before goth.
yeah.
She wore the black nails, the blood red lipstick, white skin. I'm sorry, my memory's really bad tonight. I apologize, everyone. But I can see it in my head. I just can't remember their names tonight.
And of course, there was Joy Division. But
Oh
yeah,
God, Joy
but
Division.
But yeah, we were talking about how it's very clear that Barker is into BDSM.
Oh,
He's
absolutely.
gay, and he's been somewhat open that he is into very, very wrong stuff. And so, where does he put it? He puts it in his fiction. And yeah, it's. I think that's one of the reasons his stuff is so damn disturbing.
It's like a car. I think I said this last time. Reading his stuff is like watching a gruesome car accident. You don't want to look, but you're so fascinated that you just keep looking, because you read his Scarlet Gospels. The one of the latest ones he came out with had some disturbing scenes that I was just like, holy shit, this can't be happening. But you keep reading.
I have not read the Scarlet Gospels. So I could not say, but I know
It's
that was supposed to be the end-all be-all novel.
it was the final battle between Harry D'Amour and Pinhead.
Uh,
And it's quite
I
good.
I really like the Harry D'Amour character, and if there was any influence on Case File Arkham, it was that. When Case File Arkham first came out, there was this kind of, it's still there, but that whole wizard detective genre, urban fantasy, like the Dresden Files was getting really, really popular. And it was very important to me that we know that is not what we're doing. That is absolutely not what we're doing. We're doing something more in the theme of Master of Illusions and Angel Heart. So yeah, Harry D'Amour, great character, great concept too.
The short story that Lord of Illusions is based on, I believe it's Lord of Illusions, was fantastic. I kind of wish that they would have followed more of the short story instead of going further into the insane cult, because I think that kind of killed the third act of the film.
It got a little weird.
Yeah, it got a little weird. I kind of felt like, I saw the movie obviously before I read the book, so I thought it was actually pretty cool. But then
Did you see the director's cut?
I don't know.
The
Probably
theatrical cut is nowhere near as good as the director's cut. It's a different movie. I mean, whole characters are removed and added.
Interesting. All right. I need to write down a list of all the stuff I need to catch up on.
You might change your opinion if you see the director's cut.
Okay. I have seen the director's cut of Nightbreed, and I thought it was much better than the theatrical cut.
So, yeah, I think for me, my first real introduction to Clive Barker, I mean, in high school, everyone around me, just the scene I ran with, we're all obsessed with the Hellraiser series. And that's kind of a given, I think, at that time. That was normal. And then, of course, Nightbreed came out. And, oh, by the way, in the director's cut of Nightbreed, remember how they kept the scene they cut from the theatrical cut of the monsters going at it?
The first time I watched Nightbreed was the director's cut. I've never seen the theatrical cut. That's why I felt, I guess, blessed in that way that I got to see it the way it was meant to be. But yes, I remember the monsters going at it.
Yeah. Yeah, that was apparently one of those Clive apparently fought for it. And they're like, no, never happening. Not in a million years. You're not getting that. That's not going to be in the film.
It's a shame that so many times his work has to be watered down for film. Sometimes I wish that he would just go with an NC-17 rating or whatever and actually just go balls to the wall and do it how it's supposed to be.
These days, people aren't, theaters don't even matter anymore. You can just go indie and, nobody even cares about rating.
Oh, I bet you. I know that there's a series right now for the Books of Blood on Hulu, but I mean, Hulu's owned by Disney, so I would not go there. I mean, I would at least try Netflix or Amazon, even though I don't have good opinions about them either. But yeah, he could just go to a streaming service, or, I mean, he could go to YouTube. I don't know if YouTube would be willing to show any of his deviant stuff, but there's people out there that'll watch it.
Yeah, this could be very freeing. I mean, I think the implosion of Hollywood is ultimately a good thing.
Oh, I'm so happy. Yeah.
Yeah. But
there's so much you can say.
Yeah, I know. But yeah, my introduction really is I'd seen Hellraiser and, 1 and 2, and then 4 was also almost good. In fact, I read the script to 4 and it's like, oh my God, this could have been a masterpiece. Anyway, so I saw those and it was very clear this was something absolutely different from other horror. I mean, so often Pinhead was thrown in right next to Freddy and Michael Myers and Jason Voorhees. Is like, no, this is a totally different beast. And it was one of those things where you're right. For me, watching Clive Barker movies or reading his books, you feel like you're looking at something you really shouldn't. Like, it really is forbidden. It's not meant for man's eyes. That was the feeling I got watching his films and reading his stories. And, I don't get that from other horror films. It does seem like you're looking into a world that wasn't meant for humans to see.
No, I agree with that. The way he didn't just write stories, to me, it was like he was weaving a tapestry.
Yeah.
I mean, you had your horror writers like Dean Koontz and Stephen King, and they could write gruesome horror or psychological horror or like, boogeyman under the bed, supernatural horror. But there was always, in my opinion, I don't know if you feel the same, there was always that element of dark fantasy involved in his horror
Oh yeah,
stories.
yeah,
And when he
absolutely.
wrote pure dark fantasy, there was still that element of horror. But I mean, the Hellraiser series to me was almost mystical, and so was Lord of Illusions, and then all the books of blood were the same way. There was some sort of magic involved, and just
Or I think the appropriate term is he was weaving a mythology.
yes, there was like an elegance to his
Yeah.
storytelling. Is there? That's the word I'm looking for. Elegance. His storytelling of horror and fantasy, he wove in an elegance and the mythology of there was definitely many aspects of mythology that he had taken from. There was a lot of, I want to say, not Greek. I
Well,
want
you
to say
said,
some of it was Celtic or British Isles is
yeah,
basically what I'm looking for.
druidic.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
See, I'm not on my game tonight. I apologize.
Me, I think everybody's tired right now. We're all damn tired. But yeah, yeah, definitely that was there. Apparently, I couldn't tell you how it relates. There was an offhand comment that Hellbound Heart, which was the basis for Hellraiser, was written after Clive had a discussion with a Russian Orthodox priest about hell.
Oh, wow. That explains so
Oh,
much if
do
that's
you
the
understand what
case.
that means? Because I don't.
Well, it's not I don't know much about Russian Eastern Orthodox, but there's a lot of the imagery of self-flagellation, like with the Catholic Church.
Yeah.
Uh, the 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 Cenobites, I mean, they're actually a religious order. They're not just there to the pain and pleasure of flesh. This is actually a religious rite for them. And there's always that. I hate people. I'm sorry if you're Catholic. There's that undercurrent of BDSM too in the Catholic Church with the self-flagellation. I mean,
Oh
people have
yeah.
seen it in artwork and everything, and so that makes sense about the Cenobites. That it wasn't just going into give the religious experience to the person. They were having the religious experience themselves with the self-flagellation and pain and pleasure being so close together that you could cross that line, and that is their religion.
As a offhanded comment, in San Francisco, one of the ways that I never met any of these guys, but I had heard about them, that some of the gay men reconciled being Catholics by not having gay sex, but strictly just sticking to BDSM
Hmm.
and mutual touching, because apparently that was fine in the Bible. that there was actually nothing wrong with BDSM in the Bible, and that as long as they just kept it in that area, it was perfectly fine.
Technically, that's true. It's only homosexual intercourse because
Yeah.
that had to do with their religious practices where they would like sacrifice people, and then they would bring out people, and they'd force people to become temple prostitutes. And there's this,
Yeesh.
I could go into that too, because
Well,
I
I was just
actually have
thinking,
read the Bible several times, because even if you're not religious, it's
yeah.
like
Well, I've been
it's
very open that I'm an atheist, but no,
oh
it's
yeah.
it's a very important book to read.
There's plenty of history in it too, but you find out a lot about cultures and history and how they looked at things. That's another book I could totally get into one
Mhm.
night. Not trying to convert anybody, but just like the stories about it. And if you've read the Bible, you can see how some of those stories actually fit into Hellraiser, or
Well,
the
that was
Hellbound Heart, I should say.
and I think that was absolutely intentional.
Oh yeah, there's a
Um,
lot of Catholic imagery, in my opinion. I'm not even Catholic.
mhm.
Just I've studied the Christian religions,
Well,
and
you've got to hand it to the Catholics when it comes to icons and artwork, especially during the Renaissance. Second to none. That's some of the masterwork of human history as far as artwork.
oh, absolutely.
So
I
yeah,
that is to me the golden age of artwork in human history. I know some people argue with me on that, but I mean, I think the best artwork that's really ever come out, not all of it, but the majority of it, happened during the Renaissance. And I think there's a reason for that.
Oh, yeah. So with the mythology woven into Hellraiser, I think what was real interesting was that a lot of people initially, and this apparently Barker never liked this. He was very upset that it turned out this way. That he said essentially, a lot of people said, you essentially made a myth of hell for atheists.
Actually, I can see why people pick that up, because you find out in hell is very bureaucratic.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the Scarlet Gospels, they go into the description of the bureaucracy of hell. It's just like, holy shit, this really is hell.
It's kind of funny. I wonder, maybe I should read it then. I mean, you know that the Chinese afterlife is bureaucratic hell.
No.
It is there are waiting rooms in the Chinese afterlife.
Oh, damn.
You have waiting rooms. You have people who process your papers when you show up, or your, I forget what it's called. Again, I'm not on my game either right now, but you have various ministers of the afterlife that you have to meet with. Depending on what you were in life, you might be assigned a job.
Well, I mean, you got to give it to the Chinese. They pretty much invented bureaucracy. I mean, their whole society was built on bureaucracy and meritocracy, which makes me wonder if that's where Tim Burton got his idea for Beetlejuice, what the afterlife was like.
I kind of wonder too, yeah.
Because they were in a waiting room and all people who had committed suicide were forced to be civil servants. Like, Jesus, that's awful.
Well, I always thought it was really screwed up that if you were a really good constable in life in the Chinese mysticism, when you died, you probably were going to have to be a constable of the afterlife on some level.
Oh.
No break, sorry.
No, man, I'm surprised they weren't even more hedonistic. I mean, seriously, that's some nihilistic shit right there.
Yeah, well, very different view of the individual in that country.
That is true.
You know, and as far as Chinese bureaucracy, you know, I used to think that the Brits were the masters of no. The Brits are tolerable. Their bureaucracy, you could still survive.
That is, yes. I think the Brits were more, their focus was on the aristocracy, the bureaucratic aristocracy, than bureaucracy altogether.
Oh, Goku from Dragon Ball is married to the daughter of Hell's bureaucrat. I did not know that. And that isn't
her dad,
Chi-Chi.
Mr. Ox? Or I know it's not. Is it Mr. Satan or Mr. Ox?
Oh, Mr. Satan was the wrestler.
Yeah.
Who kind of looks like Jesse the Body Ventura.
Yes, with an afro.
Yeah. So the other thing I was going to ask, you were talking about weaving mythologies. The other one that everyone keeps talking about, and I've only read about half of it, is The Great and Secret Show. What's your take on that?
I unfortunately have not read that one yet. Sadly to say. But I don't. What's the synopsis of it?
Well, that's the thing. Is the reason I couldn't totally get through it is it read like one great big synopsis of an epic. Because you were reading and thinking this could be broken down into like 20 novels, but instead you're just plowing through it from beginning to end. And it's this tale, and in it you get a glimpse of, okay, well, you remember Nyx from Lord of Illusions?
Yes.
And that line, you know, what the hell are you? A man who wanted to be a god then changed his mind.
Yes.
You read The Great and Secret Show, and that line makes sense. Also, The Great and Secret Show kind of is like showing you the other places that are behind the scenes other than just hell, where the Cenobites are. And that there are other realms, and there are ways. And it's about this guy who never fit in, and he's kind of a hedonist. And he tried literally everything in life. Doing every debauchery possible to him and to others. And when none of that thrilled him anymore, he took it to the next level and tried to move on to the afterlife or the spirit world or whatever. And he makes a deal, and it just goes amok. He eventually finds a way to kind of turn himself into kind of a demonic being, but inadvertently creates his own opposite, who keeps counteracting everything he does. And the book is like this long battle between the two.
I have to check that out because that sounds fascinating. It reminds me, the synopsis reminds me of, I don't know if you've ever heard of this book called The Grand Inquisitor, where it's the Grand Inquisitor of the Spanish Inquisition is on his deathbed, and he's having a conversation between God and Satan, and like talking about like the counteracting all the time.
Interesting.
Like, kind of sounds like that. I could be completely wrong, but now I really want to read that. The book I was thinking of was talking about was Imagica. I don't know if you read Imagica.
No, I haven't, but that was one of his fantasy novels, right?
Yes.
Well,
And
tell us about it.
okay, so it's definitely dark fantasy. There's very few elements of horror, but it's almost like he takes the fantasy genre and he flips it on its head. And there's 5 realms, and one of the realms is Earth, and that's just kind of like the mundane world. And then there's other realms that there's one, it makes up one big realm is a god itself. And then there's a realm that has been kicked out that was ruled by women, and not like women like today. It's more of the Venus myth, the mother myth.
Okay.
They were the matriarchs, the mothers that gave birth, and they had a balance of power with this god, but there was a conflict, and they broke the wheel basically. He kind of takes from Robert Jordan in the wheel thing, but that's it. Not like the whole thing. Just life is a wheel.
Well, that's an old concept. I mean, Hinduism's, that was kind of the basis of it.
The story is a guy finds out that he's actually this great sorcerer, and he has a double that is his evil twin. Basically, it's all of his hedonistic urges were purged into this one individual, and he's trying to get his memory back. And he travels through these realms, and he finds out that everything's going to fall apart unless they heal everything. And I don't want to tell much more because
No.
it's so complex.
I'm beginning to see a common thread through all of his novels.
Yes. So I highly recommend that one too. You think it's going to be one thing while you're reading it, and then it pivots and you're like, oh, holy shit, this is something totally different.
And so it sounds like it actually shares quite a bit with The Great and Secret Show, but it's more mythical and not gory and disgusting and debaucherous.
Well, I have to admit there are some debaucherous scenes because there's basically the evil twin, and the evil twin likes to do debaucherous shit. And it's kind of led to other beings in these realms being infected by that.
Interesting.
But the imagery is what really drew me in. Like, one of the realms, the sky is emerald green instead of blue. And so when the sun rises and sets, it looks like there's the way he describes the flecks of gold from the sun. Like, it really gives you that magical feeling. I mean, the imagery is so mind-blowing. At least in my mind, it was so colorful compared to a lot of the dark shit that he's written.
Yeah.
This had color. This was vibrant. It wasn't necessarily going to end on a bad note. You could tell, like, oh man, this one might actually end on a positive note. So, I mean, I would say it's a departure, but not too much. It's more of it's got a happy ending. It's actually got a happy ending.
Interesting. Okay. Well, I think I will need to eventually get into that one then.
Yes, I highly recommend it. It's my second favorite book after Cabal.
Okay, that speaks very highly of it. Definitely. So I take it you have never heard about the actual original script for Hellraiser 4?
No, I have not. I will admit I'm one of those people that actually thought that the movie Hellraiser 4 was kind of cool. I
No,
know some
no, it
people
was
did.
almost a good film. I mean, it
Yeah.
had problems, but it was almost a good film. And it lost it. Apparently, they got their budget cut midway through. They had to cut scenes, but apparently, it got really into the what is it, the Princess of Hell, and how hell used to be really chaotic and savage, and over time, as man became more civilized, so did hell became increasingly bureaucratic.
Yeah. Oh,
Um,
that's actually pretty cool. You know what? I do not remember. It's been a long time since I've seen
mhm.
that movie. I do remember the Princess of Hell though, and I remember they go into how the box was made.
Yeah, apparently there was a whole lot more to that. That it was almost like its own short movie. Just that what we got was like a really, really trimmed down version. And one of the elements they really should have kept was the Princess of Hell had her own equivalent to Pinhead's hooks and chains.
Hmm.
And what she had were these silk ribbons, right? That would fly out of nowhere, just like the chains. And you're thinking, okay, well, how bad is that? Except they could slice through things.
Oh.
And she'd use them to essentially strangle or kill people, and then turn them into marionettes.
Oh, that would have been badass.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And there's
Because
like a whole dinner party where she turns everybody into marionettes and still has dinner with them.
oh my gosh, because I remember she was more she did the stereotypical succubus, I use sex
Yeah.
to keep men under control type thing, and she didn't really seem as powerful in the movie. It's like she still had to answer to Pinhead, which I thought was a little odd,
There
but
was more conflict between them too. But yeah,
wow.
a lot got cut. And it's like, damn, this could have been an amazing film. And they clearly ran out of budget at the end. But
Yeah, I was a little disappointed in how the satellite scenes went,
yeah,
but they
they
did
just
a
didn't
good
have the
job.
money.
Yeah. They did a good job with the building that was basically the box when
Yeah.
was his descendant had built the skyscraper that was one big puzzle box, which I thought that was really cool. But now I want to I'd like to see Clive Barker maybe go and make that Hellraiser movie.
Well, I maybe you can dig around and find it. Somebody had actually put together a video where they had the film cut together, or at least a kind of an abridged version of the film, and then added in illustrations and readings of all the parts that got cut,
Oh, I bet
and
that's on
rearranged it the
YouTube.
way it was supposed to be.
Okay, I will check that out on YouTube.
I think Mr. H uh, did it.
Oh, I love Mr. H.
He might
That
have been the
guy's
one that did it.
That guy's channel is amazing.
Yeah,
All his Hellraiser lore and then all his Terminator lore. Like, I love watching his channel.
that man is obsessed with Hellraiser.
Yes, he is. Didn't he recently come out with an episode that had to do with the new script for Hellraiser?
Uh, he did one. I remember him talking about it for a while. I don't know if he's done more. I've kind of avoided YouTube.
You are like me. I have spent less and less time on social media, and I feel sad because I'm not interacting with a lot of people like I used to. But just social media, just
They
and
wrecked it. They
yeah,
utterly wrecked social media. I mean, I would say the starting point, really in earnest, to just make everyone miserable, started with Zuckerberg's project, where they actually were putting algorithms to make people mad,
yep.
and it just went from there. But you know, I'm liking Minds. I just wish people would post about things other than politics. I
I
mean,
like
there's other
mine
things in
too.
life. There are other things. Okay, so you are on Minds.
Yes. Oh, I'm at Neurotic Geek Mom.
Okay, I'll have to see if I'm following you. Yeah. Okay, cool. I tried to find you today and I couldn't find a Ginell. So Neurotic
I
Geek Mom.
I did Neurotic Geek Mom, and then I forgot to put my real name. So it came out both. I'm at Neurotic Geek Mom, and right now my name is Neurotic Geek Mom. I need to get off my butt and go back and show that it's actually Ginell.
No, whatever. I mean, I'll find you.
Okay.
now that I know. But yeah, I'm enjoying mine. Like I said, I wish people would post about things other than politics and being pissed off. And I've kind of made a pledge not to post stuff about politics and being pissed off constantly. In fact, I try to post as much stuff as possible about other things in life that are enjoyable. If there's something that needs to be said, I'll say it. But in general, we have to still live.
Yeah, you know what I did? I follow a lot of artists now, artists that aren't going to be spitting out political crap. And now I'm happy because most of my feed is just artwork. I'm like, hey, this is cool. I love this. I wish I could afford this. Hey, let's see if I can not retweet, but I don't know what they call it on mines, but show, hey,
Remind,
look,
whatever.
yeah, show this person's artwork. I am a lot happier. I mean, I did the same thing with my Instagram. I follow food channels and artists now, as long as they're not posting anything political, and I'm very happy.
Hey, yeah, people should post about Clive Barker.
Yes. And
How about
hey,
that?
Dreadwolf, I do see your art, and I love it, and I like it, and I hope that you see that. I even try to retweet it when I can.
Okay, here's a fun question for you.
All right.
In Hellraiser 2, the Doctor, when he becomes a Cenobite and he bonds with Leviathan, the weird tendril that pokes into his head, you get a good... Yeah, okay, you got a good look at it, didn't you? It's amazing how many people missed that.
Dude, it was so obvious. Okay, maybe it's just me because I'm perverse anyway. I have that like perverse mind. But I was just like, oh, damn.
It's a giant dick.
I was like, that guy got donkey punched hard.
First you see it and it makes this weird insectoid noise and you're thinking, okay, it's probably going to be like this Giger-esque kind of thing. And then you get a look at it. It's like, that's a dick. That's a great big dick.
Sometimes I wonder if the Japanese tentacle porn either factored into that or was inspired by that.
Yeah, it's kind of a hard call. I believe tentacle porn
No, that came out earlier, didn't
started,
it?
well, I've had this explained to me, actually. Apparently, it was either in the 50s or 60s, I forget which, pornography in Japan was regulated in such a way that the pornographers realized, well, there's absolutely nothing illegal about women penetrating themselves with seafood.
Oh.
And that's how it started.
Well, isn't that how Legend of the Underfiend got away with some censorship? Because he was like, well, it's tentacles. It's not a penis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, there was always the idea, you'd read the mangas and the penis was just this kind of white blotch.
Yes. My favorite was always just the little itty bitty black stripe.
Here we go. CC 1138 says it started in Hakusai in the 1800s. That far back, huh? So they've been into tentacle porn that long.
Was it the woodblock art, Dream of the Fisherman's Wife? I mean, that's pretty legendary tentacle porn artwork.
Come on in. What's up?
I was actually going to say the same thing about it starting in the 1800s.
You want to join in?
Okay. What are you guys still talking about Clive Barker?
We keep trying to, but I think it just keeps going back to anime and sick shit for some reason.
It was in the same era that the yokai...
the same era that yokai were introduced, or really?
The yokai imagery became popular.
Okay.
So,
you're pretty tired, aren't you?
I can come hang out. I didn't know if you guys were winding down or not.
Let's see. Whoa, geez, we've been on for an hour. I guess we are winding down.
I can come hang out.
You want to hang out with Kat for a little bit?
I'm always down to hang out with Kat.
Okay, well, if everyone will hold, I will set up the speaker system so we can all hear each other. And she will join us. Actually, I think I can just... I think I know I can do this. Yes, the cat. She is here. Yeah. You guys didn't get to hear from her much during the week anymore. She's busy with school. That and our rat has been having a bit of a rough go of it lately, unfortunately.
Oh,
This
no.
Yeah, speaking of Clive Barker shit, oh God.
Oh no.
Well, we thought he had a tumor, okay, on his spine,
Oh.
and it just kept getting bigger and bigger, and we had thought it might have been an abscess, but we couldn't puncture it, and we didn't want to cause him too much pain if it wasn't an abscess. And I came out one night, and he had chewed the thing open. It
Oh.
was it was an abscess the size of a great big marble.
Oh God.
It was the diameter of a nickel.
Yeah, it was the diameter of a nickel, and it was about half an inch high. And draining it, and that little guy went through hell. So he's been needing extra attention. So, hey, Kat, how
Hi.
you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. How is everybody this evening? How are you doing, Ginell?
I'm doing great. It's so good to hear from you.
It's been forever.
I know.
Actually, it's been a little over a year because it was a year ago that we moved.
That's right.
And
It's really been a year. Everybody I know is moving to Arizona.
yeah, and I
Join us. Come.
I would love to, but I have some obligations here in California that I cannot leave because we have discussed several times leaving. We were actually talking about moving to Flagstaff, but I can tell you privately what's going on. But yeah, we have to stay for the time being.
CC 1138. Yeah, Brack is a lot better now. I mean, he's at this point he seems to be healing up just fine. He's old for a rat. 2.5 years as an old man.
Mm-hmm.
But he's doing okay now.
Yeah.
He's healed up amazingly quickly.
So you guys were talking about tentacle hentai?
I don't know how that came up, but yeah. Oh, we were asking.
Oh, we were talking about. Go ahead.
We're wondering if the big penis tentacle that plugs into the doctor's head in Hellraiser 2,
Oh.
if that was influenced by tentacle porn.
Which came first, that or was it From Beyond?
From Beyond? Oh, the movie, you mean?
Yeah.
Is that the one where the guy's pituitary gland turns into a penis on his head?
Yes.
Okay.
Stuart Gordon.
Oh, that's right. He likes to do H.P. Lovecraft stories.
Yeah, Stuart Gordon was good too. Did you know that?
What? Sorry, you cut out for a second.
Stuart Gordon, who directed that film, From Beyond.
Yes.
He's also gay.
Oh, he was?
Yeah. So maybe there's a thing about penises and heads with gay directors.
I don't know.
No, it's just weird connection. Actually, Stuart Gordon's an interesting guy because he'll make these really cheesy B movies like Reanimator, which are great.
Is that how you know that John Carpenter is straight? Is because The Thing was just nothing but giant maws rather than giant penises?
Oh, yeah, the vagina dentata imagery in The Thing when the guy's entire chest opens up and it's just one big vagina before it chops off the doctor's hands.
You know what? I think that might actually be true, yes. I think that might actually be an indicator of what the straight man fears. So the gay man is, I don't want to be donkey punched in the head. And the straight man is like, I don't want the pecker to get ripped off.
It should have been evil demonic cats rather than dogs.
You feel bad for the dogs.
True.
Sometimes cats are a little harder to feel bad for.
Sometimes.
They're kind of assholes.
Like in Pet Cemetery.
Oh, I had no sympathy for that cat. It should have been run over again.
Nah. Or Stuart Gordon is he had two lives. In one side of things, he was this B movie director who did these really crazy horror films, and then he'd do these really classy indie films, and it was really kind of this double life. He did this really high production David Mamet play as a film. It's like, this is Stuart Gordon?
Really? Which one?
I showed it to you. It had Julia Stiles and William H. Macy in it. I forget the name. It was the name of the character. But anyway, and he also did, The Amazing Ice Cream Suit by Ray Bradbury.
Oh.
Yeah. It's just like he directed those.
Wow.
Didn't he direct Honey, I Shrunk the Kids? That's the first movie I ever saw that he did.
Did he do that one?
I'm pretty sure. Let me look it up to make sure. But I am pretty sure he directed Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
So, Kat, tell everyone what you've been up to, since they all miss you.
I've been being domestic and going grocery shopping. Thrilling, I know. I've been braving the storm. Actually, the storm quieted down long enough for me to run out and get groceries, so that's good.
Oh, yeah, you're right. He wrote Honey, I Shrunk the Kids too. He also directed.
That film is
No, it was Joe
amazingly.
Johnston that directed it. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to step on you, Kat.
Oh no, you're fine.
Oh, the Mamet play was Edmund. So anyway,
Cool.
You were
Says
talking.
he did the story of Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. He didn't direct it. So I was close.
That film had Max Headroom in it.
Yes, Matt Fewer.
Yes.
So yeah, we were talking. Apparently, we've been having storms here, and Arizona has awesome lightning.
Yes. Yeah, lightning actually touches down here. It's amazing. That's it. You should at least come out and visit sometime, Ginell. You should.
She will.
We'll have
to. I've already talked to Ishi about it. I am coming out actually.
Excellent.
So yes, I will be there in a couple of months.
Awesome. Can't wait. Really can't wait.
So what's your take on Clive Barker? You read Mr. Be Gone.
I did read Mr. Be Gone.
You said it read like a bad gay breakup.
Yeah, it did. And really, if it wasn't for the fact that I believe it was self-published, or might as well be self-published. You know, every publisher in the world tripping over themselves to publish something by Clive Barker. Are you really going to like tell him no on something? My problem with it was I felt like he was being paid by the word.
Overwritten.
Yeah, he was taking too long to get to the point on a couple of scenes. And, once or twice was great. And this was an audio book. So it was read by, I'm sorry, it's late. I'm totally blanking on his name. Pinhead, yeah.
Doug Bradley?
Yeah, it was read by Doug Bradley. And so, it was wonderfully read, but it's one of those things where I'm enjoying it. I'm like, this is taking too long. Where is this going? Oh, okay, we're there. Okay, that's cool. Okay. Where's this going now? And I suppose really, now it's been a couple of years since I read it. What it is it's this demon kind of doing this rambling, meandering tell-all. Maybe it's even diary entries of his life, and that's fine. But the trick is to do rambling, meandering, but not actually do rambling, meandering to actually get to a point. So that was my biggest problem with it. It was enjoyable though. But admittedly, it took me 3 attempts to read it before I finally finished it, because it got to the point where I would get bored. And that's not what you want to say about a Clive Barker book, is that you got bored.
Was it like a stream of consciousness rambling, or just
he'd get lost in little details about things? Like, basically like the equivalent of describing what you're eating for breakfast. It's like, unless there's a point to it, I don't care.
Wait, are you saying that he actually did Simone's Law?
No. I'm using that as an example. So no, he didn't do Simone's Law, but that's an example of, the rambling writings of, unless this has a point, move forward, please. Actually, sadly, that's the second Clive Barker book I read where it was the same problem, where I kind of felt like it was taking too long to get to the point. And I've read Hellbound Heart, so I know he can write tight. But there was a book I read. I don't remember what it was called, but it was about a mansion in the Hollywood Hills that had been like it had basically been Epstein Island in Hollywood, and then it was abandoned. But like, you know, the bad juju of what happened there is still there, and that's cool. And it's Clive Barker, so this is awesome. But it was just taking too long.
Was it Cold Heart Canyon?
Yes.
Okay.
I have not read either one of those books.
I really enjoyed parts of Cold Heart Canyon because it's like it reminded me so much of Sunset Boulevard. It was like Sunset Boulevard imagined by Clive Barker. You know, that how can you go wrong?
Like putting on my tinfoil hat here a little bit, I wonder if he wrote that book as a way of expressing the disgustingness that is Hollywood.
We actually discussed that when she was reading it, because a lot of it seemed like there was a character that really did seem like Harvey Weinstein.
Yeah.
It really did. I mean, the name was even close.
Yeah, it was.
And there were other things. It's like, this really happened.
That's creepy. I mean, I know we've talked about that he's into his own dark fetishes, but for him to write a story showing his disgust over the fetishes of Hollywood says you've done something like
Well,
bad.
I think the difference is as far as I know, he doesn't act on them.
No, that's true.
Well, also from my interpretation of his writing, there's consent. You know, you choose to open that box, quite
From what
literally.
I understand, he likes to receive, not give.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't think he's violating anybody.
No.
No,
And,
he's consenting to whatever you want to do to him.
mhm.
So yeah, there's actually been a lot of that lately where, after the fact, we're like, wait a minute, this movie, this book, this.
What was the film where there was a character that was supposed to be Weinstein, and it was the director of the film playing this character?
Oh God, I'm trying to remember. We were watching it like, holy shit, that's supposed to be Weinstein.
Yeah. And then we saw an interview with him, and he said, "Yeah, I was purposely doing that."
I don't recall. I wish I could remember what that was.
I'll track it down. Brandon did it. I think Cinema Snob did it too.
And Hardware. Yeah, actually, yeah.
Oh God, yeah.
It was Hardware.
Porkins.
Yeah, it was
Oh
Porkins.
my God, you're right.
And the guy's name even
The
was a
character
little bit like.
Lincoln.
Yeah.
Oh my God, thinking about that. Oh, dude.
And it
That was
was
a spot-on interpretation.
and I believe it was a Weinstein production,
Was it?
or it was
Yes.
funded. Yeah,
Oh my God.
and yeah, I think that was. Yeah, I believe they said that was intentional.
Oh wow.
See, yeah, I've been saying this quite a bit lately, that we should just drop a neutron bomb on Hollywood and just get it over with. Other listeners have said that really we should just go straight to daisy cutters and just carpet bomb. And the world would be a better place.
Honestly, neutron bomb San Francisco and LA and California would probably be a decent place to live again.
Yeah.
Or at least
Speaking as
just
somebody who's
Hollywood.
stuck here.
Yeah.
See, now we're going down a darker path. I mean, we watch old movies from the 80s and 90s. Like, I remember that LA. That was the LA of my youth.
Same. I
I totally agree. I remember I used to drive up from San Diego to LA to go to clubs. It was awesome.
Control Factory?
Stigmata.
Oh, okay. The other one. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it was half 80s, half goth, so you could switch rooms during the night.
Control Factory was the industrial club before Das Bunker came around. But yeah, I'd remember in high school and then in early college, just on a whim, Thursday night driving up to LA, 2.5 hour drive, go to the nightclub, and 2.5 hours back.
Sometimes I couldn't make those 2.5 hours. I would have to stop off at a hotel with my friends, but as long as I was the one driving, they paid for my hotel room, so I was okay with that.
Well, you don't have to
That's
sleep as
nice.
much when you're 19.
I was one of those people that would go through like days of not sleeping or not even being able to sleep, and then like I would have to crash for like days after. Like I could
Oh,
sleep 24 hours, like just through a whole day.
CC 1138 here is really throwing in the zingers tonight. Can you also drop one that destroys New York City but leaves Long Island and upstate?
Well, make sure you don't hit Staten Island, because Staten Island is trying to get away from New York City. They want to become their own separate city because
do
they
they?
hate New York City. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we've had listeners mention that all that bullshit we're hearing out of New York, it's just the city. But
Well,
the rest of the state's like, fuck you guys. All right. Well, should we call it a night?
We failed on this Clive Barker one.
Well, no, we talked a bit about Clive Barker. I mean, granted, we spent the first 13, 15 minutes talking about anime, and then we ended it off talking about tentacle porn. I think anime is the next one we're going to talk about. But I think we completely failed on talking about Clive Barker. We tried. We got into it a little bit.
Why don't we get the anime out of the way?
Yeah.
And then come back to Clive Barker. And maybe instead of just talking about Clive Barker, could start off with one that everybody knows, Hellraiser, and the series, and Hellbound Heart, and how there's a larger mythology actually to the story than just like Pinhead and his exploits.
Hey, John, do you want to come on with us sometime? We've been missing you, man. And if you're not on Minds, get onto Minds so I can message you. It's much better than Twitter. So yeah, I agree. I like that idea.
Okay. It can be like a Clive Barker primer.
Really, the thing is, Hellbound Heart's such an easy one to read. It's so quickly to go. It's like a novella anyway.
It is a novella, isn't it?
So, I mean, it's a quick read.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, everybody can kind of tear into that.
That and I love the differences between that and the films.
Yeah.
John, if you like Barker, try Thomas Ligotti. Very different, but read him.
Yeah, the problem is every time I hear about suggesting people suggesting you, he says, but don't read it if you're suicidal or feel awful.
Oh, Jesus.
Like, okay, so, well, now I'm interested in what they mean by that, because you could say the same thing about No Longer Human. But I have some of those problems, and yet No Longer Human I find therapeutic. In fact, it's gotten to the point where I obsess over collecting different versions of that book, because there are different versions. So for those of you who don't know, No Longer Human is a Japanese book. No, it's not. There's no hentai in it, but there is some sex and violence and drug abuse and animation, and it's about the long, dark, depressing life of a mangaka.
But we theorize that it's somewhat loosely based on Go Nagai and the guy who did was it Sergeant Frog.
Yeah.
I love Sergeant Frog.
And John mentions Chris Young's score for Hellraiser and Hellbound were great and must-hears. And that's kind of cool because, there's also the whole story behind the soundtrack and how originally he had wanted Coil to do it.
Really?
Yeah, and there was this long hunt for, we've got to hear Coil's soundtrack for it. It's like, it was a demo that was like 5 minutes.
Is this like one of those things, the reason why they originally wanted Orbital to do the soundtrack for Event Horizon and the studios hated it?
Yeah.
Because the one piece that survived is just amazing.
Yeah, it was kind of weird because it wasn't until The Matrix that the directors got some freedom in soundtrack like that. It's like, no, I want Juno Reactor to do it.
Yeah.
Paul W.S. Anderson, when he did the Mortal Kombat, which came out before Event Horizon, he had Orbital on the soundtrack. They actually did the final song when Liu Kang's finally reunited with his brother's spirit before his brother goes off into the afterlife. So I'm not surprised he tried to get them for Event Horizon.
Halcyon was the track.
Dude.
Yeah, that was a great soundtrack.
Yes.
Doom metal in a nutshell.
That is the soundtrack that introduced me to KMFDM and Fear Factory.
Really?
Yes.
That's awesome.
Oh,
Yeah.
and Typo Negative. It's like the holy trinity right there for me.
Nice.
Not bad at all. There you go. You want a band that was not politically correct? Typo Negative.
Oh my God. Their album, Origin of the Feces, it's Peter Steele spreading his butt cheeks so you can see his anus. That's the cover of the album.
Well, you remember that there was that whole PC culture in the 90s that was kind of seeping in, and Typo Negative was one of the bands that just outright says, fuck you. Here's my cock.
Well, what do you expect? They were from Brooklyn, New York, when like Brooklyn wasn't a sissy pussy place to be. I mean, they were like old school New Yorkers.
Endless Nocturne. I found No Longer Human a bit closer to home, despite the MC being very different from me. Yeah, that story really hit close to home, and again, it's weird. It's kind of become an obsession for me.
Really?
Yeah, I've got 4 different versions of that book. One illustrated by J.Ishiro Ito,
Which is beautiful.
Yes.
Ooh, I like J.Ishiro Ito.
Yeah, and that was one of those things where I saw it in the store. I'm like, this can't be real. Seeing J.Ishiro Ito illustrating this book, and it's like I had to touch it to make sure it was real because I couldn't believe that was possible. No, but
did you see that he teamed up with the Misfits and was doing artwork for clothing that they were selling?
No.
Really?
Yeah, and they were selling it on Crunchyroll, and I missed out before it was all sold out. And it was great. And I was going to buy it more for Junji Ito because I'm not as much of a Misfits fan, but the fact that he teamed up with the Misfits to do that, I was like, that is so cool. I wish more bands would do that.
We
Seriously.
are in weird times right now, creatively.
Mm-hmm.
I think whoever can lay claim to the next counterculture is definitely going to make a difference, because the current counterculture isn't counter anymore. And they're getting increasingly preachy and annoying. And it's not going to be cool. Nobody's going to like that.
Mm-mm.
It's the Reagan era Jerry Falwell group all over again, but on the left side instead of the right.
Jeez.
Okay.
It cracks me up that punk rockers are now not counterculture anymore.
But if it's not counterculture, they aren't real punks. And I think Jello Biafra outed himself as being a phony all along recently when he supported Mitt Romney. His band members for quite a while said he was a phony.
Really?
Wait, that's the guy from Bad Religion?
Oh, no, that guy's pretty awful, too.
Okay.
That guy was funding woke comics. What was it? Black Mask.
Yeah.
The guy from Bad Religion.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, they were folk punk anyway. No, Jello Biafra was from Dead Kennedys.
Okay.
And his band members had said, no, this guy's full of shit. He just cares about money.
Well, I was pretty devastated when I saw that Al Jorgensen made the theme song for Antifa. I think it was your post, Kat, on Twitter. That was like, oh God, no.
Yeah, Al, that's what happens when you do that many drugs. You knew about his drug use, right?
When you do all the drugs.
Yes, but not. I knew that he did drugs, but I didn't know he had done enough to join Antifa. I mean, I know that he had a midlife crisis and pierced his face 17 times to show his daughter he wasn't some bitch ass pussy.
Oh God, is that why he did it?
Yes.
That's sad.
So what? He woke up. He woke up one day and realized he was old, and so he decided, I know, I'll pierce my face.
Apparently she was going to get a piercing and she called him a pussy and said he'd never get a piercing, so he got 17.
Oh God, is
You know,
that
this is your kid. Why do you feel like you got to put your dick on the table for
I'm
your
still
kid, at
with
least
it.
in that way,
I'm still with it and cool. I'm hip.
Dude, I'm telling it was a midlife crisis. I'm telling you,
Well,
it had to be.
what happened was during his prime, his regimen of drugs, if he was telling the truth, was up there with a Hunter S. Thompson novel. Apparently, he would take speed before the show. He'd get nervous, get blasted on alcohol, do the show, then do heroin to come down. Yeah.
Jesus
What?
Christ.
And, a lifetime of this is going to take its toll on your brain.
You know those rides at the fair where you're basically in a giant slingshot and they just shoot you up into the sky and then you come crashing back down? That's basically his nervous system.
Yeah.
Jesus. Wow,
And
I
there's
didn't.
the reason no one else will talk to him anymore.
I mean, I knew he'd alienated a shit ton of people, but oh my God.
The entire Wax Tracks crew will not speak with him.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of an indicator, isn't it?
Yeah.
How gone. And to think that Amy Mann from Till Tuesday had dated him.
Was that when he was still in his like goth phase when
Yeah.
they first came out? Okay.
But the thing is, you look at Al and you look at Amy Mann and you say, they're the same age. Holy shit.
Oh God. She looks so much better though.
Yeah, Al looks like Keith Richards about to die.
Fuck.
Jesus.
He makes Keith Richards look healthy.
That's
Wow.
sad.
That requires effort.
Yeah.
That really requires effort.
Get me started on industrial music. I have plenty to say. And I'm glad to see industrial music starting to take the red pill. There's ELM, as we have talked about. Great band. Definitely did an entire anti-woke album. And now the band Implant's next album seems to be completely about hating snowflakes.
Nice.
Yeah.
You will be happy to know that my son, I've introduced him to industrial, and he likes it a lot. He has my taste in music. He likes industrial and speed metal and goth.
Nice.
So he.
You're a good mom.
Thank you. Yeah, we didn't raise him on American cartoons either. We raised him on anime.
Considering what they're putting out right now, that's a good thing.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah, we showed him Robotech, so he's huge into Robotech and Gundam, and he likes Sergeant Frog and Mega Man.
Nice.
And I introduced him to Frontline Assembly. I had to turn off KMFDM when he came into the room. He liked the music, but there's a lot of F-bombs dropped, so I'm still overprotective on that one. Like, when you're 12, I'll introduce you to KMFDM. But yeah, so he likes the industrial music a lot. I'll find him rocking out in his room when I have it on in the house.
Well, Leibach is almost entirely in German, so you can't understand it.
Oh, you're right.
Oh, Static X is a good choice too. Yeah, absolutely. Red Crusader.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't their band leader die? Their lead singer die a few years ago?
Yeah. Speaking of doing too many drugs, it was one of those things where him and his girlfriend were having a party one night and he didn't wake up. He OD'd. It was just bam. But I was going to say about your son, since he's into Frontline Assembly, you've got to go onto YouTube and show him the Mind Phaser video.
Okay. He also likes Covenant because after you introduced me to Covenant, I showed him the Bullet video, and because he's really into robotics, he would watch that on repeat.
Yeah, that was an amazingly. That's one of their high points. I hadn't produced anything that good since. I would say their sequencer album. That was one hell of a video and a song. I believe Daniel Meyer of How Job helped write that one.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. All right. I keep saying we're going to call it a night, and we keep going, but seriously, guys, I'm getting tired. We want to pick this up next week?
Sure.
Yes, absolutely. We'll have to find a topic.
I think we'll just turn on.
And hopefully next time my brain will be more aligned.
Look, don't feel bad about it. It's been a couple shit weeks. We're all worn out. I think we're all trying to get our brains to recover, and there are those among us who want to remain enraged and crazy. So, fatigue's going to happen.
Endless Nocturne asks Ginell if you are on Minds.
Yes, I am at Neurotic Geek Mom.
Yeah, in the description, you can follow me on Minds as well as Rumble and BitChute. And please do that because we're trying to make Rumble our new hub for everything. And we're going to start releasing supercuts of episodes there. Since the original episode of Cat versus Olivia Munn, part 1, was started in an episode that was about the Antifa romance novel. It was so bad we just moved on to Munn's autobiography. A lot of people have not heard part 1 of the Olivia Munn autobiography. So I'm going to have a supercut of that episode where it's just that part. We're cutting out the Antifa stuff, just that part of the episode. And I'm going to be posting that hopefully this week.
I just have to say, what an Antifa romance novel?
Oh,
Fuck, dude, what?
well, it's pretty clear that the writer was doing this just to either cash in as a joke or both. But we stopped reading it because, quite frankly, it was boring. It didn't go far enough.
Yeah, it wasn't bad enough.
Yeah.
Aw.
I mean, we were kind of hoping for like Chuck Tingle level,
Yeah, well, considering we've read real romance stories like that that one where was it Alien Bondage?
Yeah.
Stuff.
I missed that episode. Or no, I came in at the tail end of that episode. I remember the Alien Bondage.
Was it the Alien Baby Maker or something like that?
Yeah, where it's like, and it's serious. It's for the audience, and they make bank on it. And it's like, okay, this is real stuff. You can push it a little farther. Go big or go home.
Look, the whole She-Hulk fanfic porn should not have been better.
Yes, the She-Hulk fanfic porn should not have. Yeah, that actually went the distance.
Oh yeah, it did.
I'm sorry, that's making me gag. We're talking about the new She-Hulk, right? Not the John Byrne She-Hulk.
I could no. I think it was the John Byrne.
Yeah.
Okay, that's actually good then.
Well,
Because that She-Hulk was hot.
Well, she was based on they based her look on a real person. It was Corey Everson.
Mm-hmm.
Back when female bodybuilders were attractive. And she was like the 7-time winner Miss Olympia or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And they based She-Hulk's look on her. You see the pictures from her in the 80s. You're like, yeah, that's Corey Everson. Actually, the character is so synonymous with her, she played She-Hulk in some parody.
Cool.
Really? That
it was
sounds cool.
Charmed.
Oh, yeah, she did.
She was in Charmed, and she took on a She-Hulk type character.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Good night, everybody. It's good hanging out. I like doing these, and hopefully you like doing them too.
I love doing these. I feel kind of bad because sometimes my kid comes out and he's like, "What are you doing? What are you doing?" I got to wave him away because he wants in on it too. He hears me talking. He's got to give his 2 cents.
Well, of course, he wants his opinions known.
Yes, he does.
All right. Good night, everybody.
Good night.